Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm King Sway, and welcome to King Sway Entertainment. Uh, I'm doing another Agent Jake video, another Elden Ring lore video, because as I keep saying about these videos, I absolutely love them. I play Elden Ring, and sometimes he takes videos down, and my channel is the only place you can find them. So, here we go. This is Rick, Soldier of God, Elden Ring lore. This is a blind reaction, because as of this recording, it was done. This video, his video was done a day ago. So here we go.
The Cave of Knowledge, a place that most players accidentally walked right past, but didn't notice a glowing man in a chair that tells you to take the plunge. Now, I would say most players are lucky that they missed this cave. While it houses a vast array of knowledge that can help the player begin their journey in the lands between, it houses one of the most powerful enemies in the game. During our journey, we fight against terrifying creatures, towering giants, celestial beings, and literal gods, all of which are odds stacked heavily against the Tarnished, as they are beckoned back into the world for one purpose: to fix what is broken. But there is one man in this world that has no purpose and doesn't want one. A man who stands the tests of time and has carefully crafted a plan to change the world, not for virtue or any kind of reward, but just for the simple fact that he can. This man controls everything, and he's doing it right under our noses, disguising himself as one of the many so that he can carry out his own will whenever he sees fit. This man may not look like much, but his power holds no bounds. There is no limit to the influence he can create seemingly out of thin air. There are warriors, creatures, legends, and even gods that roam the lands between. However, this man's power goes beyond all of them. This man
I want to hear this.
Is simply known as the Soldier of God, and his name is Rick. The world of Elden Ring is in disarray. The Queen has started a shattering that has created a war among her demigod children, all battling for more power. We, as the Tarnish, are tasked with defeating these demigods, obtaining their great runes, and using them to mend the Elden Ring back together. This is a very daunting task, but at least you can make sure that you're well groomed by using Manscaped before you set off on your journey. Rick himself uses Manscaped to look and feel fresh before putting these demigods in their place. The perfect package kit comes with the Lawnmower 4.0, which is a skin-safe electric trimmer to reach your peak performance. It also comes with anti-chafing deodorant, ball spray toner, and disposable shaving mats to clean up those pesky tarnished pubes. It makes you smell so good that you'll never be maidenless ever again. If you use code AgtJake, you'll receive 20% off your order and receive some free gifts, including a travel bag and Manscaped anti-chafing boxers to keep your
20% off ain't bad.
Right where it's supposed to be. Check out the Manscaped link in the description and in the pinned comment to learn more. This is our first official sponsor here on the channel, so click the link and use the code to make your journey through the lands between run as smoothly as possible.
Can we catch some of that
Thank
over
you,
here?
Manscaped, for sponsoring this video.
Baby!
Rick has a lot of responsibilities to bear. Don't think of him as an outer god, but as the god. He directs all sources of life, from animals to the outer gods themselves. That's a lot of life to make sure it all falls into his plan. Rick's plan does not result in anything in particular. When you have the power that Rick holds, you don't need a plan to go one way or the other. It falls into place as it does. It simply is what it is for Rick, because nothing affects him, nothing can hurt him, but he is aware that his choices and actions do affect the lands between and all that inhabit it. Imagine having that responsibility on your shoulders, having no agenda, no good nor evil, just simply being Rick. What would you do? You know the goats in Limgrave that randomly start rolling? Rick gave them that ability to roll simply because he thought it was funny. He even gave this ability to certain giants around the area as well. But there's obviously much more to being a god than making animals randomly roll. While Rick didn't create any of the outer gods that came to the lands between, he did alter their path without them even knowing of his existence. In fact, he didn't want them to know who he was. He wanted to observe, to see what would happen. The Greater Will took over the Great Tree that came before it. Traces of the Great Tree and its Crucible followers can still be found around and below the lands between. Rick saw that the Greater Will and its Golden Order were egotistical. They thought of themselves as perfect, and anything that came to defy their order would be quickly destroyed by their most powerful lords. Rick sat back and watched Godfrey and his warriors battle against everyone, from the ancient dragons to the giants. Rick found it interesting that beings had to fight and showcase their power at all times. He thought of the greater will as wannabe gods, as a true god like himself wouldn't have to constantly show off their power and order. However, Rick did find it interesting to watch. He could see that their Empyrean, Queen Merica, was starting to lose faith. Rick had never known what it was like to even have faith, so he took an interest in Merica's feelings. She had everything: order, power, influence, and yet she started to devise a plan to destroy what gave her all of that. Rick wanted to be a part of this, to understand why she would do something like this. Maybe it was like the goats. Just wanted to mix things up a bit. Eventually, Merica's plan had begun. She ordered Malekith to seal away destined death. Her children had all left the Golden Order for their own ideals. She allowed Ranni to slay her own Empyrean flesh and destroy the soul of one of her own children. Rick would see the anguish this caused Queen Merica, though he didn't understand why she would do all of it if it would hurt herself in the process. While Rick was still somewhat confused, he let her continue with her plan, and eventually she unraveled everything and shattered the Elden Ring. This set the world into a frenzy. Wars from all over started yet again, and Merica's children sought after their own power under their own agendas. The shattering of the Elden Ring awoke the Tarnished, that were revived in order to seek the Shard Bearers and mend the Elden Ring back together. Rick took a special liking to the Tarnished and wanted to give them a proper welcome to their seemingly impossible task. Rick stowed himself in the Cave of Knowledge, awaiting the Tarnished under the name of Soldier of Godric. Now, obviously, Rick couldn't use his full power against a recently awoken Tarnished. They wouldn't even understand the scope of power they were really fighting against. So Rick would send a clone of himself that would instill a sense of hope into the Tarnished. It would be their first step on an incredible journey that Rick just wanted to be a part of, simply because it was interesting to him. He wanted to help the Tarnished. So Rick set off to see what he could do with the Shard Bearers before the Tarnished would go up against them. Ranni and Radahn had been in a previous altercation before the Shattering. Radahn learned of Ranni's plan to destroy her Empyrean flesh and kill her Two Fingers. So out of brotherly love for his sister, Radahn used his powerful gravity magic to place Ranni's Two Fingers among the stars, out of her reach. Radahn was extremely powerful, and the Tarnished stood absolutely no chance. So Rick devised an interesting plan. Rick knew of Mohg's intentions to start his own dynasty under another outer god known as the Formless Mother. However, Mohg needed an Empyrean to be the vassal for their outer god. Mohg's best chance was with another Empyrean known as Miquella, who was located at his Halig tree to the far north. Miquella was growing his Halig tree from his own flesh, which morphed out of his cocoon that he was sleeping in. He was attempting to create another tree in order to cure his sister Melania of her affliction, the Scarlet Rot, which slowly eats away at her body. She was the blade of Miquella, and she wasn't afraid to tell people that. Melania was the only other demigod that stood a chance at weakening the state of Radahn's power. And it just so happened that Mohgwyn's palace was located directly below Radahn's battleground. So Rick instilled the knowledge of Miquella's location to Mohg. Once the Shattering began and the warring started, Mohg went to the Halig tree and plucked out Miquella's cocoon and took him back to Mohgwyn's palace. Melania returned to the Halig tree to find Miquella gone, and went on a ruthless search for him, eventually landing her in the Caelid Wilds. She could sense Miquella's presence near Radahn and battled against him in order to find her brother. Radahn loved war and would never turn down a fight.
I've been playing this game since it came out. Like, I got it the day it came out. I pre-ordered. This is the only game in my 40 years that I've actually pre-ordered. And I say this because I go to Mogwin's place all the time. You know, kill the chicken, kill the Albinorex. It was affected by when Melania released her rot. I didn't realize that. Like, even looking at them chickens, I didn't realize that. Like, I know they're not really chickens, but I don't know why it's just hitting me now. I don't know. It's not a big revelation, but just the fact that they're under each other, I'm like, dude, you're stupid. You didn't even notice that, and you go there all the time. Like, just the plain thing that's hiding in plain sight type deal thing. So far, I'm not going to lie, this is actually very entertaining. And there's no way in hell he didn't just make this up. But the time and effort he put into making this, I still appreciate. So we're going to continue with this.
Against someone like Melania, their battle was legendary. But Radahn was clearly bettering Melania. So, at a snap of Rick's fingers, he allowed Melania's scarlet rot to bloom after stabbing Radahn. This infected Radahn with the scarlet rot, weakening his power and giving a chance of success for the Tarnished. As for Melania, she was taken back to the Halo Tree to recover and await the hopeful return of Nicola. However, Rick knew that her abilities would be seen as total bullshit by the Tarnished. He knew he would need to weaken her as well. So in an effort to do this without giving away who he truly was, Rick put Melania into a deep sleep where she would dream of fighting a soldier of Godric over and over again. Corpse after corpse left in her wake, but could never truly be rid of a simple soldier that would just keep coming back. She would defeat the soldier,
cool.
But his relentlessness of coming back time and
Both
time
of them
again drove her insane. Each time she would fight with the soldier, her rot would spread throughout her body more and more, eventually spreading over her eyes, causing her to go blind. She didn't know this while in a deep sleep, and by the time the Tarnished had found her, there was nothing she could do about the rot over her eyes. She would be forced to fight without sight, giving the Tarnished a chance at beating her. Everything else was set and put into motion for Rick to watch the Tarnished try and become the Elden Lord. It was exciting for Rick to watch someone with seemingly no power whatsoever try and grasp even a fraction of what Rick was capable of. If Rick wanted to, he could just end everything with a snap of his fingers. But there's no excitement in that, is there? With the Tarnished, Rick felt something that he wished he had. Purpose. Rick was everything, but he felt like nothing at the same time. He needed the Tarnished to succeed, just so he could feel what it was like to have a purpose and actually succeed in that purpose. So Rick paved the way for the Tarnished every step along the way, and all he had to do was let the Tarnished slay a clone of him a single time. In the Cave of Knowledge, Rick allows the Tarnished to fight against a clone of himself. While it was meant to boost their ego at the start of their long journey, it also coated the Tarnished with a fragment of Rick's blood. This blood allowed the Tarnished ungodly determination on their journey. If the Tarnished were up to the challenge, if they continued onward through adversity, eventually they would always come out victorious. However, if the Tarnished were to give up, or make excuses, or quit along their journey, then Rick would remove his blood coating, making the journey harder for the Tarnished in particular. Now, most of these hollowed Tarnished would use bleed weapons to beat the game, which made Rick sick to his stomach because it was clearly super overpowered. And to watch something like that was depriving. He knew that their honor would be slandered after this, so he paid no mind to them. Eventually, the Tarnished would reach the Elden Ring. Would they become the new Elden Lord and just take the throne for themselves? Maybe usher in an era of darkness with the blue doll that they simped over? Or would they simply burn everything down, and for some reason, light their head on fire as well? This always fascinated Rick, why some Tarnished would just watch everything burn. But if that's what they wanted, then it's what Rick wanted too. Rick was not a fan of Gideon Ofnir, a man claiming to know everything. Rick would laugh to himself every time the All-Knowing would refer to himself as such. Rick must have been doing a good job at hiding in the shadows if someone like him never even knew of Rick's true power. However, Gideon's final words after being defeated by the Tarnished
Who in my bones. A tarnished cannot become a lord. Not even you. A man cannot kill a god.
And yet we do.
And Gideon was right. A man cannot become a god. Not at least without some help from one. Thank you all for watching the video. This one was really fun to make. Again, another huge thank you to Manscaped for being our first official sponsor here on the channel. That's a really big deal to me because I've always loved their products. I've been using Manscaped for years. So make sure to click the link below.
Yeah,
and
getting
use
your
the code
first
to get a
sponsor is
discount
something
and
big.
some free gifts.
I hope we
Special
have that
thank you
one
to
day.
my patrons who give me the extra support to make content like this. They get early access to these videos with no ads. So if you're interested in that, you can go check it out in the description. I always give them a shout out in every video. So thank you again to all the patrons that you can see on screen. And thank you all for watching. Subscribe if you want to. And I will see you all in the next one. Take care.
I don't think I have enough viewers and subscribers for me to start a Patreon for something like that. That and the fact that I have 2 full-time jobs. I work 19-hour shifts, 3 to 4 days a week, and that's because that makes my content creation irregular. So because I have an irregular content creation schedule, I don't think I'm capable of making a Patreon for the simple fact that people want consistency, myself included. The only thing that's consistent is that those 19-hour shifts, and when I get home, I'm tired. I get very little to sleep, and even on like days where I only get 1 day a week off, I get Sunday off, and I spend that with my kids. So I aspire to be what this dude is doing right now, but I actually was very entertained by this. I didn't say much because the guy was saying it. I was trying my hardest not to laugh. But the Soldier of God, I thought this was going to be like some in-depth lore thing where, you know, he was like, yeah, this and that. I'm like, oh, wait, no, he just made this up. I get it, though. I get it. But because this was more of a spoof or fun type deal thing, there wasn't much for me to react to other than me trying not to laugh. But in the meantime, between time, always with the peace signs, I'm King Sway, and I'm going to see you in the next one.